Map of the Soul is one of the most important albums in history of music globally. And no, it's not just because it was made by BTS, but because it is perhaps the only album in history that gained international recognition that fully sought to understand human psyche by tracing people's journey towards maturity. It isn't just about beautiful lyrics and music and beats and rhymes in one album. In fact, it isn't just about one beautiful message. It's a critical journey towards the most powerful thing each person has: our minds. There are songs, of course, that talk about specific areas of our thought processes, but no other internationally recognized series of albums has been fully devoted to inspiring, triggering, and guiding listeners to go beyond their emotions and explore their own psyche and understand how their mind affects their personalities, dispositions, and ultimately life and relationships. Yeah, it's a sharp turn in theme. BTS's early years have been all about exploring emotions, analyzing emotions, and talking about emotions. Map of the Soul is the first series they devoted to studying how those emotions are formed, how those emotions affect our actions, design our lives, and drive our relationships. It is cerebral through and through. And the rationale? It is only when we know why and how we react to things the way that we do, perceive things the way we do, and form our understanding the way we do, will we actually be able to start improving our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. In other words, it's adulting in the strictest sense of the word.
I think one of the funniest things that I hear from haters or non-BTS fans is how armies are supposedly over-analyzing the music and music videos of BTS to make them appear as if they're smarter than they actually are. They don't need any help in that department. Just so, I usually gauge if I know that this person is hating, I just don't respond. If I know that this person sincerely wants some information about BTS, then I would respond. So this series is really for those who are wanting to understand more about BTS. They want an in-depth look, or they want to start really looking deeper into the music and music videos of BTS, and maybe even for those who want to seek some reinforcement about what they already know. Maybe they are late in the game, they discovered BTS a little late. I don't claim to know everything. Of course, I'm not an expert in psychology, I'm not a student of psychology. I'm just like everybody else. I read, and it just so happened that I've been reading about Carl Jung for some time, but BTS inspired me to sort of revisit him, and he wrote a lot of books, or books were written based on his based on his studies, and it really helped me. So I hope that in the process, if you know more, maybe you can share, and we can put, you know, push the, not push, but sort of lead people towards the music of BTS, especially those who need it, like we did when we discovered them. So this is not a deep dive in the psychology of Map of the Soul and Carl Jung, who is a major personality in Map of the Soul, which will be discussed in the video. This is more a 101 of Map of the Soul, and I hope that this can start a conversation, or maybe you can tell me what else you want me to discuss, and I will create a video out of it. Alright, if you ended up liking this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button, the notification button, and of course share if you can. Okay, onto the video.
Map of the Soul, the cerebral approach. Map of the Soul has three cornerstones: persona, shadow, and ego. They served as the intro, interlude, and outro of Map of the Soul 7, the album. This traces the model of the psyche developed and studied by Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. He is actually a psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, and the founder of analytical psychology. While Jung developed many theories, systems, and studies, the core of his system is the belief that the wholeness of an individual's experience should be respected and included. In layman's speak, he believes that everything we are, the good, the bad, and the ugly, must be recognized and accepted. Jung believes in recognizing and embracing the lows and the highs of our experiences and thoughts. It is only then can we really strive to become a better version of ourselves and achieve our full potential. He calls this process the individuation. Jung identified four major archetypes, or as I usually call it, the components of ourselves. So, as I've said, persona, shadow, ego, and there's a fourth one, the anima animus. According to Jung, our mind or psyche is a self regulating system, while our body has organs that serve different purposes that are independent of each other but affect each other. Our psyche or our mind has components that function independent of each other, but they affect each other. Just like our body organs who try to function as well as it could to make our body healthy, our psyche strives to maintain a balance between opposing qualities while at the same time actively seeking its own development. First, let's go to persona. Persona in BTS's album is the intro written and performed by RM. In Jung's archetype, the persona is our relationship to the society. Think of it as a mask we wear so we can fit in, get recognized, and find our place in the society that we chose. But on the other side of the mask is our true self. The origin of this Latin word goes back to the masks worn by actors in antiquity. The mask or persona looks like ourselves, but it is largely influenced by the outer world. Therefore, it is a kind of compromise between the individual, our real self, and the society. Persona is how we appear to other people and how we want to be seen by other people. We have various personas during our lifetime, according to Jung, according to each developmental phase, but that's another post for when we dive deeper into BTS's music. One interesting thing, though, is that Jung emphasizes that the persona is not an individual, but a collective. That is important when we talk about the songs in Map of the Soul. Another important point Jung made is that the persona is eventually dissolved, and their ego and shadow fuse with it later in life. Again, remember that because that will figure into the song in the album. Next is Shadow. Shadow is the title of Suga's interlude in Map of the Soul. He wrote and performed it. In Jung's archetype, this is the part of our unconscious mind that Jung believed to hold all things about ourselves that we repress. Maybe because it's evil, or socially unacceptable, or harmful to others, or detrimental to our own health. Our shadow embody our inner darkness, the things about ourselves that we hide, the damage we experience in our lives but never fully heal, desires we can't satisfy. Shadow is highly emotional, driven by primal instinct, often violent and usually concealed from the social world by the conscious mind. Jung also believed the qualities in our shadow were determined by the things that we criticize the most in others. The more we repress our shadow self, the more it becomes stronger and the more our persona becomes weaker. The key to stability with our darker nature is not to give into the shadow, but to embrace it and how it helps define one as a person and find a balanced way to express it in our daily life. And now, Ego. Ego in Map of the Soul 7 was written and performed by J-Hope. Jung saw the ego as the organizer of our thoughts, intuitions, feelings, sensations, and it has access to memories that we repressed. The ego arises out of the self during the course of early development. It has some sort of an executive function. It perceives meaning and assesses value so that it not only promotes survival but makes life worth living. I will not discuss anima and animus. BTS traces the journey towards maturity. Just as a quick review, persona is who we are to the society. Shadow is our hidden self, usually a darker one. And ego is the one that processes our emotions and feelings. BTS started as outcasts or outsiders. But they eventually, of course, achieved international recognition, and that became their persona. But boiling under the surface are seven men navigating through an uncharted territory, lost and confused by the power they unwittingly got and the responsibility that came with it. That's their shadow. Just as Zhang theorized, when we repress our shadow too much, it becomes too strong and powerful that it starts to destroy our persona because it needs to come out. That's what happened to BTS. They almost broke up, quit the industry, or pursue other careers behind the camera, and many of them admitted to really struggling emotionally and mentally. Zhang said that the only way we can keep our shadow in check is by accepting it, but not giving into it. And that's what BTS did. As their persona disintegrates, the fullness of their individuation started. In other words, they started finding their true selves and they started learning how to present it to the world. This is the process done by the ego. This is everyone's story. If I have a nickel for every time I hear people talking about rock stars going soft as they go older or tyrants becoming softer when they start aging, the reality is that the life we live when we are young is really heavily influenced by our desire to find our place, get recognized, find our people, and be accepted by our choice of a section in the society. Once that part of ourselves that we repress becomes too strong, that part of ourselves destroy the persona that we created usually younger in life. That forces us to find our balance again, and once we do, a more balanced self comes out. This is what BTS inspired many to do, to get to know our shadow and get to know our persona and find a balance. And that's not an easy process because sometimes it means giving up the role in the society we thrived in. Sometimes we are ashamed of our dark self, or sometimes it is both. So, how did they trace this in Map of the Soul 7? Let's talk about the structure. I am not going to go into each song in detail. We may be here for hours, but if there are songs that you want me to discuss in detail, leave them in the comment section. But let's discuss the structure of Map of the Soul 7. The song opens with Persona. Remember, persona is the mask we wear to be accepted by the society. The song itself asks and seeks to answer a very difficult question: who am I? The succeeding songs deal with the different masks we wear. While RM pounded himself with questions, in Boy with Love, they actually turn to others to ask questions pertaining to the other person, such as how are you? What makes you happy? Things like that. And they continued this with Make It Right. They started talking about one's role to other people. They started accepting the role of a hero to other people. Jamais Vu is about the cycle of an unhealthy relationship. They then start sinking down into madness of their world in Dionysus. Enter Shadow by Suga. It's angry, frustrated, explosive. They have it all, the adoration of the world, and they are still not happy. The shadow is repressed and it wants to break free. I'm tempted to talk about the scary, explosive anger in Suga's delivery, from great to earth-shattering epicness. He is absolutely terrifying in that song, but I can't. Not in this video, but let me know if you want me to dive deeper into that. Black Swan is the start of their death as artists. The fuel that fired them up has been consumed. That line about the moments becoming eternity is absolute genius. And then Jimin starts singing, almost shouting, brand new filter. It hit me like a ton of bricks. He was presenting himself like a product, and we are the consumers. I don't know how he, in his sultry voice, managed to slap me with a truth I can't ever deny. In My Time, Jungkook talks about growing up. It's like the continuation of Begin. But this time, he starts questioning who he is, the opposite of the certainty that he communicated in Begin. In Louder Than Bombs, BTS starts pulling ARMY closer, but only to make us see the reality they finally see. The darkness that envelopes all of us. And with On, they start standing up again, ready to fight another day, but with a greater certainty and a clearer direction. In Og, the rap line gives it all, screaming, cursing, throwing themselves, and all of their emotions towards anger. Yeah, you heard me right. They are angry at their anger, angry at their shadow. They finally settle down a little bit in 0 o'clock. They are much more introspective, spent, but slowly becoming wiser. They start examining who they are in the beginning with inner child. They paid tribute to their friendship in Friends, paid tribute to Army with Moon, paid tribute to their craft and their bond with Respect, and paid tribute to this new chapter they are about to begin, calling armies to go with them with We Are Bulletproof, the Eternal. And finally, the Ego Talk, written and performed by Jung Ho-sok, and one of his last lines says it all. Just trust myself. And with that, they start their journey to get to know themselves away from the fame, away from the recognition and expectations, and into their core as persons and as artists. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how they inspired armies to start drawing a map of their souls along with them.
Okay, just want to clarify, there are probably millions of artists around the world, mainstream, alternative, unsigned, undiscovered, and probably there's an album that talks about the human psyche or the growth of people or whatever. It's just that Map of the Soul is the first one that really that was recognized internationally. And it doesn't just deal with emotions, it doesn't just talk about an emotion, but it examines how we form those emotions and how that eventually affect our lives, our relationships. So it's very cerebral. It's a cerebral way of talking about our emotions. So that what's really makes it unique. It's the first one that I've known of, as I've said, that is recognized internationally. So I think it's eventually people are going to realize that this is one monumental album, and it is going to go down to the history books as one of the most important albums in history. They're so brave for doing this, so intelligent for doing it the way that they did. Okay, if there's anything else that you want me to delve on specifically, let me know. As I've said, I'm revisiting their content, and then I'm catching up on the ones that I haven't gotten into. So I'm doing a lot of that. So I just took a break from the Suga Sutrita series, and then there's a lot of you who have been sending me requests. There are a lot of requests for the Rose. I was surprised about that. I've been listening to them I think since 2017, 2018, I think. I did not know that he was friends, that Woo Sung was actually friends with Suga. But I'm more than happy to talk about them. And since you request, yes, I'll be doing that. There were requests for Lesser of Him, other girl groups. There were requests about other Asian countries. So let me know whatever it is that you want me to talk about, for as long as it is related to Asian culture, Asian art, Asian entertainment. I'll do it. I appreciate all of your requests. Please keep them coming. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up, and of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe and please hit that notification button and share the video if you can. I appreciate you all. See you next time.